Good afternoon, Mid-Missouri. I'm Jessica Porter, and you're watching KOMU 8 News at noon. After days of witness testimony and arguments, the jury has finally reached a verdict in the Sergei Kamazan case. KOMU 8's Gabrielle Hayes is live in St. Charles with the latest. Gabrielle.
Just a few hours ago, the jury reached a not guilty verdict in the Kamazan trial. Kamazan was found not guilty on charges of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Missouri State Trooper James Bava and resisting a lawful arrest. This all comes after days of witness testimony and arguments made by both the defense and the prosecution. Closing arguments were made yesterday, and the jury went on to deliberate at about noon. The jury started up again this morning at about 8:15, and the verdict came soon after that.
I can't even begin to comprehend. This case was never personal for me in that respect at all. I don't have any criticism for my son. He's just a young fellow, 25 years old. Great young kid, great young fellow. I feel for him, I really do. I'm a father. So.
We grew to love James as a prosecuting team. We did our absolute best to honor him, and we're disappointed in the verdict, and we're sorry we couldn't deliver it for you.
Kamazan left the courthouse immediately after the verdict. His family and friends waited out in the hallway and prayed. Reporting live in St. Charles, Gabrielle Hayes, KOMU 8 News.
A committee investigator into Governor Greitens is moving ahead unanimously. The committee will have a subpoena power for witness and evidence. The group will have 40 days to investigate. Republican Representative Jay Barnes will chair the committee. He fielded questions from other state reps yesterday. A colleague asked him to explain the impeachment process, but Barnes refused. He says witnesses and evidence hearings will be completely closed to the public, so future witnesses do not hear what past witnesses said. And Governor Greitens is under another investigation, this time for suspicious activity connected to a veterans charity he founded called The Mission Continues. Records obtained by the AP show Greitens used the charity's email address to arrange political meetings in 2015. That was just before he launched his first bid for public office. Greitens was on the charity's board of directors at the time, and he sent 3 emails to political consultants. Federal tax laws prohibit charities from participating in any political campaigns. The Senate is considering a bill that would relocate all of Missouri's Confederate monuments to a historical site in Higginsville. Senate Bill 584 would move approximately 40 statues that are spread throughout the state to the Confederate Memorial. The bill is sponsored by Democratic Senator Jamila Nasheed and went to a General Laws Committee on Wednesday. A U.S. Air Force veteran and intern for Senator Nasheed says history shouldn't be erased, but the monuments should be preserved.
It allows for the monuments to be preserved and possibly not face any more, defacing or anything of that nature. But it also says, hey, we see you. We see you, and we see the persecution that you face, and we recognize that.
KOMU 8 reached out to Republican senators, but they declined to comment on the bill. University of Missouri officials announced layoffs yesterday. Faculty explained they were a precaution to extreme budget cuts, but as KOMU 8's Claire Kopsky reports, that doesn't ease non-tenure track faculty's nerves.
It's frustrating and depressing. Budget concerns aside, it's hard to have been a member of this community for 18 years and feel like you could be, a minus 50,000 or whatever that towards a budget deficit.
Monier is among more than 800 non-tenure track faculty at MU. The chair of the faculty council recognizes these cuts are affecting real people.
I understand, but I'm very sad. It's people's lives. These are some of these people have worked at the university for a long time, and it's just a sad situation.
Weibel went further than using the word sad.
You talk about cutting the fat away, and then you're starting to cut muscle away, and then in some cases you're actually right down to the bone. And I think in some colleges, some departments, that's where we're at.
I have heard a lot of nervousness and consternation, and not just among the NTT faculty, because NTT faculty aren't merely the people who are picking up extra classes. We are, in most of our positions, integrated pretty significantly into our divisions and our departments. So departments and programs will suffer if they lose us en masse.
All in all, faculty today understood the budget is what will make the final decision.
I really respect Provost Spain. I think what he was trying to do, just something rather novel at this university, was to be transparent, that this was happening. I don't think the email was read closely enough to understand how it would be heard.
If the budget changes, the non-renewals may not happen. The university sent the emails because by law it has to give faculty 90 days ahead. Multiple bills that would change how the state addresses environmental issues are in the state's legislature. The Osage Group Sierra Club met in Columbia last night to voice its concerns with the bills. The club discussed bills about the water supplies, the statutes of state parks, and how cities control plastic waste. Representative Kip Kendrick attended the meeting, and he said he supports the club's stance on the issues. The group is concerned that the water supply will suffer if cities can't restrict the use of plastic.
Businesses want to have uniformity across the state. They don't want Columbia to ban plastic bags, ban plastic cups, because they'd have to have a different system for food containers in Columbia compared to the rest of the state.
The next hearing for that bill is on March 6th. Let's get a check from Tim with the latest forecast. Tim, what's going on out there?
It's pretty comfortable here in mid-Missouri. Lots of sunshine, high pressures overhead, and we get to enjoy that sun for the next couple of days. There are friends off on the East Coast, though, are not. Take a look at the satellite and radar image. This is a strong nor'easter system. Typically, these are mainly in January and February. Occasionally, that can happen in March. This thing is pounding parts of the Northeast, the New England states, all the way from New York City to Boston, getting heavy rain, storm surges, and even quite a bit of wind. And with this, there's been reported wind gusts out with this system as high as about 75 miles per hour, sustained. Some of those winds have been. It is an impressive system so far, and it'll eventually keep moving up toward the north and east and out of the United States here in the next 12 hours. So that's good news, but they continue to have some of the effects of some of that heavy rainfall. Tranquil here, though, in the Midwest. High pressure to blame for that. Look at these temperatures right now. Not too bad. It's comfortable. A little chilly outside. Still 50 in Columbia, 49 in Jefferson City. Most areas in central Missouri are already on pace to reach the mid-50s today. That's where I have us in your afternoon planner with lots of sunshine and a light east breeze. I have us hit at about 55 for your afternoon temperature, cooling back into the mid-40s at the 7 o'clock hour. Coming up, I'll have a look at that weekend forecast and let you know when we have a next chance for rain. It's coming up in just a couple of minutes.
Breaking news out of Central Michigan University, where police say 2 people are dead after shots fired in a dorm on campus. The campus is on lockdown as police search for a person of interest. According to police, the deceased are not students. Police believe the situation started from a domestic situation. The suspect is considered to be armed and dangerous. And after a string of school threats, a sheriff in Florida wants students and parents to pay up. Volusia County Sheriff Mike Chitwood said not only will offenders face criminal charges, but they or their families will also be held responsible for paying costs for officers responding. That often adds up to at least $1,000. The sheriff's office says in some cases the true cost could be higher depending on resources required. In the last 3 weeks, 15 students were charged with making violent threats about false statements about guns in the area. An Arizona prison was on lockdown overnight after inmates set fire inside the medium security corrections center. According to the Arizona Department of Corrections, inmates attacked prison personnel, throwing rocks, setting fires and mattresses, and breaking into the prison health unit. Corrections officers later said all employees are safe and accounted for. An investigation into the disturbance could lead to some criminal charges for the inmates involved. And from the mid-Atlantic, a storm is bearing down on the East Coast. Forecasters say heavy rain, snow, and powerful winds could pound the region. In Boston, workers were busy filling sandbags to put in flood-prone areas. In Milford, Connecticut, storm drains were cleared as officials are concerned of a repeat of October's flooding. Along the Jersey Shore, it was time to board up. Authorities in some coastal areas of Massachusetts are urging residents to evacuate the area.
You evacuate and go to friends, family, somewhere away from the danger of the tides.
The Mid-Atlantic is preparing for a potentially historic windstorm. Gusts could be up to 60 miles per hour. Potomac Electric Power Company says it has extra crews ready to deal with power outages, and authorities say anyone in the storm's path needs to be ready to go if the lights go out. On the other side of the country, the West Coast is expecting its own wrath of bad weather. Thousands of residents in Southern California are preparing to evacuate as a powerful storm is expected to hit in the coming days. Many of the mountainsides in the Ventura country are still burned from the deadly fires late last year and a mudslide scare in December. Residents and public safety officials are setting up sandbags and makeshift water channels to help collect the heavy rainfall that's expected to total up to 3 inches. Police officers went door to door Thursday, issuing mandatory evacuations for Goleta, Santa Barbara, Montecito, Summerland, and Cupertino. While some residents say they feel safe enough on high ground, others are prepared to leave.
We aren't going to wait till somebody says evacuate. We would go before. We have several friends who died in the mudslides in Montecito.
The weekend storm comes nearly 2 months after mud flows killed 21 people in Montecito. The Red Cross opened evacuation shelters and reminds residents that their services are free of charge. And thousands of residents in Western Virginia are without power after a series of explosions at a power substation. Workers say a tree that fell on power lines caused a blown transformer. Due to the power outages, several area schools were closed. Crews estimate repairs will last throughout much of the day today. And a blackout hit Puerto Rico's capital and surrounding areas right after the U.S. territory's main power plants shut down. Its failure that came amid warnings from officials. The power company is struggling to remain operational. Puerto Rico's Electric Power Authority tweeted the plants shut down to protect the electrical system, but said it was unclear what caused the shutdown. More than 970,000 people live in the areas hit by the blackout. This all comes as several customers remain in the dark nearly 6 months after Hurricane Maria destroyed 2/3 of the island's power distribution system. And you're taking a live look over Columbia Regional Airport. KOMU News at noon will be back after this.
Track storms